Hey everybody, welcome back to Wind Downs with AJ. Yes, I changed the name. I don't care. Welcome. Um, well, I have been asked to bring this back, so I thought I call my friends back, and it's time for another AJ's therapist roundtable. And
Ooh.
whoop, whoop. And so, um, we're missing a person today. He's out being a scholar with his PhD. So we're gonna send him good loves. We love you, JJ. And ooh. But today we got my twin in them. We got Ariel, and then we got my favorite sunflower. We got Ayana.
Woo!
Woohoo! So I'm too tired to do a whole bunch of analyticals today. So I felt like we should just kind of do a check-in of spaces and kind of see like how y'all feeling being in the therapist world, because there's always some shit going down in this here world. And I guess, where are you at in your therapist journey? Let's see. Let's start with Johnny come lately twin. Start with you.
I'm in a good place. I'm enjoying my clients. I'm working at a new company, and so that has brought me some excited energy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the culture is great there, so I think that helps. And the way they organize their system allows me just to show up and do my thing as a therapist, and that's it. So that's helpful. But also, I have a lot of motivated clients right now. And I love all my clients, even if they're not so motivated, but they bring journals, they bring their pencils, they bring their things, they're doing their homework, they're asking for me to push them. I don't know what's going on,
I
but
love
I'm
it.
doing it. And so every day I'm just excited because they're making, I'm about to discharge people. The quickest discharge have ever happened. I don't know if it's the new generation, but I think the motivated clients, the new culture, and I recently became a brain spotting practitioner, so a new modality. So yeah, it's going. I just need the Kim Kardashian money. That would be nice.
That would be
I would
amazing.
really be happy. But yeah,
That would be amazing. And it's interesting. I feel like even if I had Kim Kardashian's money, I would still want to do this work,
absolutely.
but like at my pace.
Yeah, like 10 clients a week pace, maybe 5. Like
I would do like 10 and a possible 5. Like a
that's spades.
like like a 10 and a possible 5. Like I would do 15 if, like, me and my therapist was talking about this, like if I had the curated type of demographic I wanted to work with, like, and I know that they're always going to show up, they're always going to do what they're supposed to do, like that sort of thing, like they're always, like, they're motivated, where we don't have to push or prod or overexert energy to make them want to do it.
Absolutely.
Like, that would I would do 15. And technically you could do in a week, that's like 3 days. Oh, that's 3 days a week if you honestly think about it. And you could space them out within 8 hours. That would be the perfect work day for me. 5 clients in one day for 8 hours. I'd take it. I sure
I
would.
definitely did because then you can like schedule like a 2-hour lunch,
I can go out for lunch, have fun with my friends,
come back rejuvenated, ready to help the healing.
or take a nap.
Heavy on the nap because that's
Ugh,
honestly what I want to do in between sessions every time is take a nap.
just take a nap.
A good
Okay.
good 20, 30.
a good 20, 30. So the motivation, you're doing good. Um, okay, so I'm gonna go. Um, I'm not like I want to say F it all. I don't want to do this no more ever again. I'm being dramatic, but sort of not really. Um, I'm just in a space where I'm like always tired, and I feel like I myself have to give a lot of myself and a lot of energy to keep the powers that be happy.
Mm.
That includes the kids, the parents, the supervisors. I am doing like 4 different things within my one role.
Mm.
So I'm my own administrative assistant. I am my own clinician. I also have to do mental health evals for the sake of um like for the diversion case managers where they're asked to get one for like from the state attorney's office. Also now there's this new requirement where if they're being put into a different type of diversion program with wraparound services, they have to have a mental health eval. And if my boss isn't available, my bosses aren't available, it falls on me. So, and then I also do these gain assessments, which focuses on mental health and substance use um, with children that are arrested in a detention center. So, I have a lot on my plate. And then I'm still supposed to show up for myself in the meantime when my therapist is telling me that enough is enough. So, I'm like, sure, I would love to. I don't know how to do that. And so right now, I feel like the only way to do that is step back from what I'm doing because if I don't, I'm not going to make it. So it's a little frustrating because they don't tell you about this in school.
Right.
They
Mhm.
don't tell you about all of the things or all of the ways it can take this type of toll on you. And I genuinely thought that I was going to be in a different, like, happier space once I got my license. But it seems that once I got my license, it put more of a strain and like more, I wouldn't say pressure because I'm not pressured to do anything. If I don't want to do it, I don't do it. But it definitely puts more of a, I don't know how to put it, but it definitely puts more on you. And I will say the pay sucks. It sucks a lot. So, that also is a sore spot for me just because it's almost like a slap in the face to the amount of money that comes in and out. I could say it like this. I fully learned a couple days ago that the mitigation evals that I do for the state, we get 150 to complete them for each eval.
Hmm.
And we're talking about narratives, like the ones we used to do at the internship with the paragraphs and stuff. I have to do
Right.
it that way
Mm.
for $150. The company though that I work for gets the full 400. So we get 150 and whatever's left they take the rest. And I only get 150. Do you know how much time, work and effort that takes? And then for us to get feedback from the state attorney's office telling us it's too clinical. They want more mitigation. I have no idea what that means. When you ask clinicians to write a mental health evaluation
Right.
for mitigation purposes, you're asking us to tell you about their diagnosis. You're asking us to tell you if they have a mental health problem or a mental health need and what the recommendations are. But it's too clinical. Make it make sense. So I haven't done one of those since July, but um, it's still like a lot. So a lot for a little bit. I'm not gonna talk about my actual salary. That's not we don't have time. We don't have enough time in the world. So we don't need to talk about that anymore or cause an uproar in this world of therapy because already people trying to tell us what we do and don't deserve, and that's another conversation for another day. But yeah, so Ayana, what about you?
I'm probably in between of where both of y'all are, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I've been wanting to quit my job for a bit, but initially it didn't start with wanting to quit therapy, just this specific company. I'm just not in a space where I feel comfortable quitting it because I want to wait until I take my exam again so I can have my independent license when I leave.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been here for 4 years, like I have the benefits here are superb. I mean, it's a great company when it comes to benefits. And it's not even a bad company when it comes to what their mission is or their philosophies. It's more so the execution. Like I think that, somebody who has a great idea and they get the people they probably should get, but they also get people they shouldn't get. Excuse me, and then they have people in charge that, in my opinion, don't understand. Like I can understand the business part of it. And I think that's where one of my biggest hiccups is coming from lately is I can understand the business side. I understand that we have to make money. I get the revenue. I get all of that. But I also get that when you open up a mental health agency or you're offering mental health services, that should take precedence over the business part, which business people don't think that way. They feel like the business should take precedence. And I'm like, I feel like if you provide adequate and superb services, you're gonna make the money. So let's focus more on that. So I don't know, I'm just in a space, and then I don't fully like having supervisors or people that are in charge of me who have fuck all of a clue like what the profession really is or what my role is, or I'm teaching you how this goes. Like I could go somewhere else and make my own money. Like even if I piggyback off of what you were saying with salaries, like the amount that I charge, or the not even charge, the amount that I'm able to bill within an hour, I get like 1/4 of that, and it's still just not enough to them. And then there's like a lot of bureaucracy, in my opinion, based off of like where I work. There's a school that pays my company to have me there. So they want certain stuff, but then our company wants other stuff. So it's just a lot of the lines to me get blurred, and they want you to play both sides of the fence. And I do not like that. I can understand that there are certain times where we have to learn to play the game, but my game is very much transparency, honesty.
Right.
To some degree, I can get not telling people what they don't need to know when they don't need to know, but I don't like having to BS people. Like that's just not my game. I can't do it. I'm not gonna be good at it. I just don't care enough to do it. But I am praying, praying for the strength to keep pushing throughout this school year, because I never want to move or leave a job and it puts my clients in a sticky spot, which when I started off this school year, I didn't really have any clients. But the way they're trying to move this school year is like I can see where I would be an asset, but I also see where it could be an asset to me because they want me to work with some deaf students, which gives me the opportunity to work with a different population that I've never worked with and pushes me to learn ASL like I've been wanting to. So, and I want to help them get this program where it needs to be because I do have faith that the program is great. And we finally have a principal that I'm like, where have you been? You should have been here. But either way, Long story short, I'm willing to stay this last year and then like push myself out. But I think when I leave, I don't know if I want to do a therapy job. Like that's, I don't know if I want to go into doing therapy for part time, more money with an independent license, or if I want to take a step back and just do something else for a little bit and just, I don't know. Because I want to go back to school. So I don't know if I want to do therapy while in school. I'm not sure. But that's where I'm at for the most part. In limbo.
Floating.
Right. Just I'm riding the waves and trying not to let the waves ride me.
The waves took me on, child. But I started looking back up at programs to see
Mm-hmm.
which route I want to go because I'm like, do I really need to get a PhD for counselor education and supervision? Do I really need to do that?
That's not,
Do I
I
really
mean,
need to? Do I really plan on teaching people children? Do I really?
do you really?
I
Yeah.
don't know.
I think you
I
should
said
write
if
that.
I ever went to the, I said if I ever went to the classroom, I would
I
do.
agree. Wherever, I don't know what y'all see, wherever she is, I agree. I don't even think you heard her. She said write down your passions and
Yeah.
then figure out what program. That's what helped
Well,
me decide the program.
Same.
my passion has always been marriage and family counseling, especially
Wait, the
couples.
last time we talked, you talked about doing your DMFT.
That was the plan.
Yeah. Why are you switching?
Because that requires me to go back to therapy.
But I wonder, do you feel like you're burnout with therapy or burnout with your company?
Therapy.
Hmm.
Mm.
What with a
I don't even
DMFT?
want to walk. I don't even want to walk into a class, like into a therapy session. Like I don't want to do it.
Mm.
I genuinely don't want to do it.
I don't think you have to walk into it there. Well, I mean, you said you were open to eventually like circling back, but
Mhm.
I don't think with a DMFT you have to necessarily do therapy. I know that it's mainly about therapy, but you could probably do like consultation or more psychoeducation,
Mhm.
like helping families do certain stuff without having to do the therapy part, because that could
Hmm.
even refuel your want to do therapy if it was different. Like I feel like if you weren't doing just like traditional you and your client therapy, like what if you did like more therapy or family or couples sessions?
Yeah, because I was like, I mean, it's still in there. Like I still want to. I think my struggle is just like right now. I really just want to say up chuck the deuces,
Right. I mean, you
and
might
I
just need
think
a really hard reset too, though. Take a
yeah, that's
good
what I'm
break.
hoping. I'm hoping that um, this opportunity that I'm looking at actually goes through. It's like a it's not a clinical thing by any means. It has clinical
Right.
esque tones to it, but I don't have to be responsible for this person's well being while we're together. I don't have to do video chats. I don't have to do telehealth. I don't have to do none of it. It's hey, what you doing? You doing all right? You need some resources?
Right.
Have you used the last ones? Okay.
Hmm.
Have you set up your appointment? Kind of like an EAP situation where you could offer some. It's on a short term basis, like at the moment, but not really. So I'm hoping that might do something. And then I thought about it. I was like, and if it ends up working out, oh yeah, they have CEU stipends and stuff.
Hmm.
So I was
Love it.
excited about
I think
that.
that would, yeah, that job
Huh?
would be good. I was saying I was agreeing that I think that job would be good. I think it would be a good reset to take a break. And then it's not a break to it completely detached
Mm.
from like little factors of what we do. So maybe it will recharge or even kind of even direct you in a certain space of where you might want to go with school.
Yeah, because I've been looking, and because I kept looking, because I really wanted to get certified or like licensed as a sex therapist, but the amount of like work, I might as well go back to school. They want like 6, 7 grand
Mm,
to become like a licensed. Like I have to go through the courses
Mm.
and then do what needs to be done to take the certs and get the certifications and all that other stuff. So, and I was looking, I was like, can you become like a doctorate in like sex therapy or like sexology or whatever? And I started looking, but it's not like actual, I haven't seen like an actual doctorate program
Program for it.
where
Yeah.
that
I
would be
wonder
like
if
a thing.
doing like DMFT though, like a marriage and family, I wonder if there could be like a program that would give you some
Mm,
sort of concentration or a specialty in sex therapy because that does tie in.
it does. So that's also been my struggle with what I'm looking for, because there's one school like National University or something like that. But also, who gonna pay for it? Because
I don't know because I was praying for some free doctoral programs, and it's really the only ones that are majority free or if you want to go get a PhD in like clinical psychology.
yeah, those would be like the only ones. Like there's one here in Florida called the McKnight Scholarship, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't see marriage and family on there at all. It's mostly industrial or organizational psychology, clinical psychology. A couple of them say counseling, but um, and it's schools like UF, FSU, FIT, FAU. So they're like big, big ass Florida schools.
Oh,
So I I have to go back and look, because that one, I think it covers up to, I think it covers the tuition,
yeah,
and then it also provides you with like a scholarship, not a scholarship, a stipend of like 12 grand,
that's not bad.
something like that, and it's like a fellowship and stuff. So I was thinking to myself, well,
I love
if
a
all
good
else
shit.
fails, because
Right.
I was thinking, I was like, I wonder if I write them and try to use the McKnight Scott, like the McKnight Fellowship for marriage and family, if they like counseling, because that falls under psychology. So why wouldn't you
Yeah.
pay for it? Um,
I mean, anything is worth asking. Finding ways to make some of this stuff cheaper.
and I
Mm,
realized a lot of these things, they don't require us to do um to take the GRE,
Yeah, they don't.
which is great because
I
I don't
just
want to go
wish
through
that
that.
they gave more or people that are seeking the non-traditional doctoral programs when it comes to the psychology slash counseling field or whatever.
Because the side D don't exist
It,
to
uh,
people as a PhD.
oh my
Even though
goodness.
it is the equivalent to a PhD, side Ds do not get the same respect as
Right.
like a PhD, a ED, or a JD or whatever.
Well, they don't even have a lot of I thought they would have more PsyD programs because at first I was looking up
Mm-mm.
more PsyD programs than PhDs because they talk about more from the clinical aspect.
Mm.
And then there's not that many out there. But then I kind of realized I was more so, excuse me, I was more so conflicted on where to land anyway because I knew clinical wasn't it for me because I feel like, no offense to all you clinical psychologists out there, y'all are definitely amazing. But for
But I
me,
don't
that
want to be
wasn't
stuck there.
right. Well, and it just wasn't hitting on what my specific passions were. So then I was thinking about my passion for kids. Like maybe I want to go into more developmental. But when I look into that, I'm like, and that ain't it. So I
That's what I was
landed
looking
on
at
education
yesterday.
side. You said you looked at it yesterday?
I was looking at that yesterday because I kept seeing that a lot. They were having like it was like behavior something, developmental, clinical,
Mm-hmm.
and it was educational. That was the other one. And it was just like, those don't necessarily like speak to what none of us really ever talk about our passions are. And I feel
Yeah.
like that's kind of a part of where we kind of get the short end of the stick as like clinicians and stuff. Because if you want to become a doctor,
Yeah.
like a medical doctor, there's so many different types of doctor schools.
Yeah.
If you want to be a podiatrist, an optometrist, fracking
All the ist.
all the is, if you want to be a chiropractor, if you want to be like a, there's so many different types of doctor programs that you
Yeah.
can do. But with us, it's industrial organizational, which don't nobody really recognize that or use that a lot anymore in our field.
Not
It's a
really.
dying, subject.
Yeah. I know somebody who just graduated with their master's in industrial. I don't know what they plan on doing with it, but when I heard about it, I was
Intriguing.
surprised and applauding them because I'm like, you don't hear it often.
No, you don't, because I'm like, I remember in college somebody talking about wanting to do it,
Hmm.
but by the time we got out of college, it wasn't a conversation about that being anything that
Mm-mm.
we would absolutely use.
I don't even look it
And
up
I
anymore.
don't,
Well,
Twin, did y'all have that kind of like, did y'all ever talk about industrial psychology, or is that something that you just didn't really focus in on?
Industrial, like IL.
Uh huh.
Yeah, there was only one person in my cohort I think was like interested in that, but it was like briefly.
I don't even remember what it's for per se.
I think they do kind of like in
more of like
company.
a corporate businessy Have you ever seen the movie Billions?
Oh,
Or not movie, TV show Billions?
uh-uh.
They make good
Well,
money.
yeah, I was gonna say I feel like the TV show Billions kind of gives like a perfect look into it. Now, granted, the way she's acting, I don't know if that's how they act, but it's like a
So you mean like how the structure of a company, kind of like with educational psych, where you kind of like deal with like behavior prevention, behavior interventions, classroom setups, and stuff like that,
but more for
but for
business.
corporate.
Yeah, so
Oh,
like
okay.
hiring, like trade.
Yeah. And then in the show, she got to like if you were having like depending on your performance, you might go see her so she could like get your shit together.
Oh, so that's more so
Right.
like HR almost, not
Bigger than
necessarily
HR.
like yes, bigger than HR, but more so like compliance and inclusivity, equity, diversion, that kind of stuff.
And
Kinda. I'd have to look more into it. But
yeah.
I even think like the performance part, like somebody might put it on her radar, like this person has seemed off. Have you noticed anything? Like, yeah, I kind of noticed that they seem a little different coming into work. And then it's like, well, could you meet with them or something like that? And mind you, I'm really just going off that TV show because sis was real good at what she did according to the little TV show. And she had a PhD and she was a licensed psychologist. They just never say what kind, which it would be IO.
Mm, that works.
What
That makes
programs have you looked into?
who, me? Or are you talking about Twin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I don't know why
so
I keep pointing down because she's right here on my screen.
well, yeah, she down here.
Okay.
Ariel at the bottom.
I've looked at counseling and supervision. I've looked at DSW.
Hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
about it.
Are you leaning towards one more than the other?
I think in DSW, I love being a social worker, y'all. I
I
do.
mean, as you
I would
should. I
like
feel like it's very broader. It gives y'all more access.
it does. And I would love to teach. I would love to go back and teach like the baby social workers. Like I think it'll
Oh,
be,
yay.
you
I
know.
thought about that because I realized based on being, I can't speak for Yana, but especially my experience, me being who I am and my
Mhm.
personality as a clinician, and being told that my personality was like too much or that I should tone it down a bit, I feel like I probably should.
That's exactly why I
Mm-hmm.
want to go back.
go into the classroom because I feel like with this new age, especially now, I get so much further with my kids literally being my full authentic self. I
Right.
I can't do anything else but first of all, I don't know how to do nothing else but me. If I'm
I
ever
mean,
calmed down, something's wrong.
well,
If I'm never my full vivacious, obnoxious, bubbly self, something is wrong.
well, you wouldn't be good at what you do if you weren't either.
Right. And
This
there's
is true.
clients that it works for. I always tell people there's a
Yeah.
client for every personality. There are people that do, well, most people, no one wants a robot that just says, "How do you feel? How do you feel?" You don't want that. I don't want that. I need some animation. I need to feel like
Right. I
you
need to feel like you
connected
are
with
you here
me.
with me or what? Right.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to
Yeah.
see you doodle it in your notepad and then asking me
Right.
how you feel the same time next week. Like, I don't need that.
Actually, I'm not coming back.
Because
Yeah.
I actually remember that they used to tell us that we should not be in the room.
Yeah. Literally,
And
like
I'm like,
those specific words. If I'm not in the room, then who is? Jesus.
Yeah.
It
And
is.
I wish they would have explained it differently because I get not put in because I'm definitely in the room, but I get not bringing all of my baggage in here too. So
Correct.
like we're not both gonna be
that's the
like,
difference.
oh my god, yeah, that was hard for me too, girl. Yeah, and then I struggle with that. Like, all right, who's
But
here for
also,
who?
there's a line to that because I tell my kids all the time, I'm like, listen, we learning this together. I deal with
Yeah.
that with my therapist. So when she tell me something and it worked for me, I'm gonna come tell you, girl, because
See, but
we
that's
gotta do it
different.
together. But
I
that's what
think
I'm
that's
saying. There's a
different.
line. There's a
Yeah,
line to that. And I feel like that there's nothing wrong with that. Cause I'm not gonna and sometimes I'm like, listen, I had to learn it too. Like,
yeah,
especially being a girl teenager with mamas and grandmamas.
Mm.
I didn't have that problem with my grandmamas, but me and my mama definitely was butting heads as I was a teenager because I definitely thought I knew it all.
hmm,
I knew it all because you couldn't tell me nothing different at 17 years old. Okay. So my 17-year-old telling me that she feels the type of way that her grandma asked her for some gas money.
I get that.
You know what I'm saying?
This
That's a little
economy? No, I'm just kidding. But
because like in the further we talked about it, the further I was getting heated because at first I was like, all right, girl, you're being a little entitled because, ma'am, what's wrong with sliding your grandma a little $20? A little $20. We're not asking for 60, $70. It's the little $20. She was like, she said that ain't enough. That don't fill her gas tank. I said, oh, she doing it like that. Cut. God, dog. Just okay then.
yeah, I want to
Mm.
wrap that up real quick. Granny, I ain't got it.
Like it's just it's different situations for different things, but I just be thinking to myself, I really want somebody to feel empowered and feel differently
yeah,
than I felt. Because Ayana saw me cry a couple times. This how I knew she was my friend for real. Because I told her, I said, girl, I'm ready to go. I don't care no more. They can have it. I don't know what else they want me to do. Because you tell me to be don't be myself.
right,
And that I don't know how not to be that. And people tried to explain it to me, telling me, your professional you should be different. I was like, ask any of my classmates if I was ever unprofessional.
right,
Ask. I was never unprofessional, but sometimes I was loud, sometimes I wasn't. Sometimes, and what I mean by loud is sometimes I was actively in part of the conversation. Sometimes my mind was off into a different world. But that don't mean like, and then sometimes I just said whatever I wanted to say when I felt like it.
yeah,
So, and that I feel like that's a part of being yourself. Don't ask your students to show you who they are and then turn around and be like, change that. We don't like
yeah.
like
I do wish they would change that sentence because being in the field, I have met therapists, in my opinion, who somebody probably should have told them don't bring themselves in this room. So then that's to me, I feel like the sucky part because now I think that it's an inappropriate statement because it's open to trans, it's open to your own
It's
translation of
subjective.
it. Because
Hmm.
like, we might take it as like, oh, you want me to be, you want me to be genuine. And then for other people, to me, they don't take it as something that pertains to them at all because they're like, this is about me. But I've seen therapists who take their sessions with clients very personal or the way they interact with people. And to me, it's super inappropriate
Yeah.
because I can definitely make you feel like we friends because I actually like a lot of when I was working with older kids, now I work with preschoolers. I love them all. They're all super cute. But we can't never relate for real anyway like that. But like,
Fix your face.
like we're working with them and being able to talk, like that was great. But I never took it to a point where like I had a kid that wasn't mine, but she was telling me like my coworker was having a bad day pretty much. And she was like, oh, did such and such do something to her? But she like name dropped somebody from my coworker's life that I was like, how do you know about
No,
old boy?
that right.
And then she was like, she told me about him. And she just like kept going by her business. And I'm like, told
Yeah,
you about what would make her tell you about him? And then if I went into why I knew about him and her expressing and pretending I was her therapist to tell me all this, it was like, now how did this come up to a client in middle school?
right.
I can understand, relating to them and telling them we've been in your shoes and opening up in certain ways of how we navigate it. Of course, bring that side of you. But the side of you that's like, oh yeah, such and such was treating me like this.
No, I
Huh?
would never. Would
That was so
never.
wild to me. But so that's to me like I think that's why I think they think about those type of clinicians when they say don't bring yourself into the room.
But
It's
Yeah,
just
I do
think
want to
about what
add
they
though,
uh-huh.
I do notice for clinicians of color that
yeah.
feedback is more given.
Mm-hmm.
As who we are as a community, we are vibrant naturally, we're
Yeah.
expressive. But again, I think our fields are so rooted in white
Mm-hmm.
egocentrism that they think of not thinking of our clients, if that makes sense, not thinking of our
Yeah.
community. So they're thinking of, the clear people and well, that's who we need to adapt to serve,
Right.
not realizing my clients love that I can connect and we can use slang and I know where they're
Right.
coming from. I know, if you say you 38, I'm not going, well, what is that? Is that like a street number, a house? No, you're hot, you're pissed, you're mad, and that
Right.
is on the feeling wheel. You know what I'm saying? So I
Hmm.
feel like I agree. I love what you said because I do think there are therapists we have seen that's like, mm, maybe we need to reel that back.
I
But
mean,
I
granted, she
feel
was.
right, and that's a whole thing. I get
Yeah.
but I do think that it's important for us to show up in a way that our clients can relate to. Because I
Agreed.
think that's the biggest reason. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like our generation of therapists is the reason why there is more people coming because they're seeing
Mm-hmm.
more of us showing up with tattoos and piercings and colored hair and
Oh my
locks
God, yes.
and 40-inch weaves, and they see therapists with J's, they see men therapists of all different ethnicities, like people see they feel connected, and that has been
Mhm.
lost in the field. So I feel like
Yeah.
to branch with Twin, you were saying, I feel like that's the reason why I do want to go back to school, because we need to unteach what we're taught in
Yeah.
grad school because it's not practical to real life. And I think that's where imposter syndrome stems from because of all of that.
And that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Like, do so that I think that's the only reason the counselor education and supervision question came up,
Hmm.
because I'm like, if I go back and get my doctorate, I have to have a doctorate regardless if I want to
Period.
teach in that level. And I do want. I've never wanted to teach in the grade schools. No, thank you. But if I ever did college, and I also said I really wanted to go back to like a HBCU and do a master's program and kind of go back that way, because that I feel like that would be useful,
For
and
sure.
also preparing us is for the best way to navigate this whitewashed profession.
Right.
And there's nothing we can do with what's already been created. There's nothing you can do about it. You either can establish it as your own and make it your own, or you gonna have to use it the way it's written in this textbook. But regardless, you have to know who you are and be secure in that, because when you walk into this room, you're either going to take on everything as your own, or you're going to be able to figure out how to take what needs to be taken and leave the rest.
Right.
And I don't know, I guess um I've always said that, and it's so crazy because when we were in school, I just had this motivation to be like, I'm gonna do this forever. I'm gonna love it.
Mhm.
I'm gonna find different avenues to make it fresh and vibrant. And then we get to the internship part. And I think what hurt the most was like it was a fellow black person. Was he black? Was he black?
Yeah.
Our professor, he was black. Okay, so I don't assume.
Which
I don't know.
professor?
Our wait, what class did we have together with him? The only male professor. Oh no, no, not Dr. Span, not him. We love him.
Not the name drop, but I'm weak. But the other one, he was a black man as well.
Yeah, I think that's what hurt the most, was like it was another black man telling me that I'm too much. Like,
But I take that, and I don't, of course, know him like that. I think there are those of us in this field that have been there for a while, and the avenues that they had to go through to get to where they are. I think some of them get, I don't want to say lost, but their message starts to get lost. Like they had to probably conform a little bit, so to them conforming is necessary. Whether they would, I mean, they probably would, of course, probably admire it, but because that's not the way that, like, we of course want to see that, so we're going to encourage it. So
mhm,
but that, I think if you didn't have, because what I think him and his wife are both in this field, they don't have children. I know they travel a lot, and a lot of his work is about the intersectionalities and cultures that we work within. And I think he wants to make us adaptable, but I also think that it probably just stems from his own, it could be his own insecurities, his own experiences. I think that advice came from somewhere in there. And it could have also been a fear, because if you're, to me, older in this field and you are used to it being a whitewashed field, this was a field designed and or whatever by white men for white women. And then we
mhm,
started to open it or whatever. You might even have a fear that, as much as you might see greatness within somebody, I don't know how they're going to take her in this field. I don't know how far she's going to get in this field being like this. So, yes, it could have been negative, but it also could have had some undertone of positive or had positive intentions. And he just could have done differently. I don't feel like he was the most open of a professor. I don't feel like he was
he
somebody that was
wasn't.
like, because I feel like I even had a run in with him because he didn't like that I didn't talk enough, and he marked me under and then still gave me a B when I had the grades and the points to make an A. But
Oh,
because
he did
even
that
after
to
he
me
took off my,
too.
and he was just, but for him it was just like, no, you didn't participate. I'm like, but you took off points for participation already. And I still, my points equal an A in your class. And he just
I
wasn't
got a
open
B
to giving it.
minus
So
in
that to me
every one
makes
of his
me feel like he
classes.
has his mindset on what it should look like. And if you don't match that, then he's not okay with it.
He gave me a B minus in all
But
of the classes I took with him, and I'm telling you,
yeah,
he the reason that I ain't get my 3.8, and I'm mad.
I'm mad too,
Three
just thinking
a
about it.
B minus might as well be a C or a D.
at that point. See, now I wouldn't say that anything in grad school makes me want to be a teacher. I would want to go back and teach more undergrad than grad school. But I think it's because I feel like the way I think about my undergrad experience, and I feel like we have a lot of older professors who don't know the new stuff in the field. And I would just want to connect with the students differently, even if they didn't want to be in this field, but just a little bit about it. I wouldn't mind doing that.
I think I wouldn't do that because a lot of people get to psychology and then don't know which way they want to go. And then they
Well, that's
kind of
also why
start
I would do it
venturing
too.
out. Oh yeah, that makes
Because
sense.
they don't, like, I got my bachelor's in psychology and then went to counseling, and I was like perplexed, but I'm like, okay, whatever. And I have my coworker, she got hers in psychology and then she went to social work. And then I think about, like, when I meet kids, especially like through my sorority, I think every line we've had a psych major. And I always ask them, like, what do you plan on doing with it? Because you do know that with a bachelor's in psychology,
It ain't a
I
lot of
let people
options.
tell you enough. Options are slim. And then if you're not already out there trying to get experience and being an internship, because you can get a behavior tech or get some type of trainings and be a behavior tech somewhere, and then they can train you. You can work with ABA. Like, you can do stuff while you're getting this bachelor's that might even help you pursue a higher education. But nobody tells them that you do know that once you pick psychology, you have to go to grad school.
You don't have a
And I
choice.
want to tell
You don't have a
them
choice.
initially, and I don't want to make it seem like it's a daunting task, but I want you're going to go to grad school. It's going to be great. You're going to learn more, and you get to go more into whatever your passion is. And then maybe that helps them figure out what grad school to go into. Like, I have a friend who we were both in the same program for undergrad, and then he went into school psych. So now he's a school psychologist, and he's doing great. But
But
it's also very
also,
different from counseling.
I'm also throw this back in there. Like I said, we're not gonna be here on that for too long because kiss my ass. But
Uh-oh.
the fact that we are required to go to grad school, required
Yeah.
to have a minimum of 2 years before we can get licensed, required to pay and take an exam as if we're also doctors, but don't want to get paid as doctors. I have a problem with that. I have a fundamental, ethical, emotional, mental, all of the things problems with that.
We hate it here.
Cause make it make
Come
sense.
to this, grandpa.
That's
And you know what
too
this feels like?
That's what the board
That's
said.
exactly that's the board looking at you like,
It's too damn
No,
bad.
but for real though, I feel like the way they're asking for these student loan prices, y'all should have
yeah,
made sure our degrees was gonna give us that money.
right. Help us out. But there's a con in it. I mean, there's a con in everything, but the con that's coming to my head now is because people that truly are passionate about this field. Like, when I was just telling my coworker, even if I wanted to switch to something else, my master's is in counseling. What the hell can I do
We can
if I
actually do
wanted
a
to?
lot.
And I don't, but I think about the fact that my master's in counseling and my passion is about therapy. There's really only, you're limited. But then I think about how we don't really get compensated as much, or even piggybacking off of all the things we have to do to even get here.
It's true.
And then we only get compensated. I'm like, I feel like they're smart. Like, you chose this field not for the money. So once you're in here and we don't give you the money, it's not that we don't deserve or whatever. I feel like we could definitely get more. And I think some places are paying more, but I think there's this much not to me. I feel like they're not really encouraged. Like, I think that my job has upped my pay a little bit as I've been there. Like, I'm appreciative kind of what I make now, but I feel like I deserve more. But I think to them, they're like, well, you like what you do, and I do. But what they got to do with the money you're paying me?
I was gonna say let's stop acting like just because I love what I do that I shouldn't be paid what I'm worth. Let's
Right.
stop acting like
Because
that.
I'm like, y'all making money.
Because that's not the
That's
point
the
of it.
narrative that's been sold to us. I think for
Mhm.
any field that specializes in helping others, that in order to be selfless, you have to struggle. We
Mm-mm.
gotta end that
Or
shit.
accept less.
That's not what my God wanted for me.
Fuck,
That's not
fuck
what my
that.
God wanted for me. So I'm not
Fuck
gonna take that.
that.
Yeah.
He wanted me to live in
Honestly,
abundance.
right.
This ain't abundance.
Respectfully, fuck that. Like, that's a narrative that I'm really sick of them selling. That
Right.
that in order to be a person who helps or gives, then you should accept less. So you're
No,
telling us that people who are selfish and don't give two hoots about anyone else should
Right.
be like that. That whole logic is sick to me, and I'm
It
tired of it.
is. And then because it makes it seem like you don't think the work that we're doing is worth it,
Right,
which
but
to
you
me
want us
then
to
is
pick
insulting to our clients.
like
because but think about it this way. Let's think about how detrimental this can be to our clients. Let's just let's do a case study. Why don't we? If I am living paycheck to paycheck and
Right.
I get sick and I lose said position as a therapist because I'm sick. Now my clients is without a therapist and I'm without housing, food, shelter, clothing, all of the things. Who then benefits from said situation?
They said they better deal with it.
they said zip zip nada, figure it out.
Because you're
Right.
already short staffed. I was already overloaded with 25, 30
Hello?
people.
Exactly. But see, the problem is they're banking that scenario on. Remember, when we were baby grad schools, we just want to change the world. We want to save
Oh my
everybody.
God, I want to have all the clients. They're
Right?
like, you're gonna take
I'm going to work so hard, 50 hours a week. I don't care.
man.
I never
Right?
said that. I never said that.
I
I
actually have. I've never said it, but I've seen people that actually
Yeah.
do feel like that. Or I think about we do go into it, and I remember in grad school somebody asking like, "Who do you want to work with?" I'm like, "I want to work with everybody. That's why I'm here." And they're like,
Dr.
"That's
Bettis.
going to
Well, Dr.
change."
Bettis. Is
Yeah.
that her name now? No, that's not her
Ye-
name anymore.
Um, we're
Doctor
gonna say
Dr.
Dr. Bettis.
Cox.
Yeah.
Dr.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Cox
But
now.
she.
see, that's my problem. That narrative of like they're banking on, okay, the ones of us who get older and we wake up and we're like, this y'all sold a dream. They're like,
Right.
okay, well, whatever. And then they teach it, the new generation still doesn't know. That's
Yeah.
why us elders have to go back and tell the kids, no, do not. You deserve to get paid. You can help
I
Right.
people
also
and get paid at the same time. Because guess what? If you're homeless, like Twin said, and you ain't have nothing, then you ain't gonna be able to show up for nobody. And guess what? There ain't gonna be no healing happening. So, in order to do what we got to do, our cup has to be full, and that means financially too.
because they say money don't make you happy. It's not gonna make me happy, but it's sure gonna handle a lot of
Yeah,
problems.
I that also too. That I know that's a tangent I could go on. We need to stop that lie too. Money don't make you happy. The thing is, it's not the physical money; it's what you can do with it. Money is time. Money is freedom. When you have those things, you are
Mhm.
equally going to be happier.
Yeah, especially
Again,
in this
I think
economy.
people sell these narratives to the people who are under them to keep
Mm.
them stuck.
From yeah,
And I
because I
think our
mean,
generation is waking up because no.
I also said I really wanted my other like the other passion for me was like, how do we get in these rooms with the DSM and stuff? Because some of them DSM,
Man.
especially
Some, the whole book.
the whole book, like
You need to be
okay,
rewrote. The whole book.
especially like when you think about like ADHD and ODD and who Lord Jesus, when it comes to our black and brown babies, fuck that. My black babies, I'm not finna. I'm sorry. I'm not being inclusive today. My black babies that are overly diagnosed with ADHD.
Man,
It's
or
enough.
her heavily medic. The preschools I started to work with, and most of them have an ADHD diagnosis. Or when I ask how, and they've
Hold
been
on,
evaluated,
preschoolers?
going, oh,
You
is
mean
it?
you mean 3 and 4 year
Is this
olds?
thing on?
You mean like 3 and 4 year olds
The
that's
I
supposed to
cutie
have
be
pie.
I have worked with 2 3-year-olds who have been diagnosed with ADHD.
how they're three.
I want to know.
They're
I don't know.
three.
I don't even know who they're going to get the diagnosis. I know they bring it up. The parents tell me, and I'm like, that's not a thing at this age. And I'm like, in
Well,
this
I
age
will
is
say
ADHD.
there is an infant mental health
There
DSM
is.
for 0 to 5. I
Yes, I'm
have
going to do the
seen
10.
it. I didn't put the diagnosis, but I have seen it, and they went to a neuropsych. So, and it was based on family history, like the whole family
See,
had.
and so, so I might be able to agree with that. And I
Yeah.
did. I've talked to my
But that
job.
was like a rare case. Like that was one
Right.
that I saw, and I was like, okay, that made sense.
See, and I've
But
talked to my job about getting that training about diagnosis 0 to 5 since I'm in a preschool. But the two kids I'm specifically talking about, they, in my opinion, are not 80. They are very much typical toddlers. But I think that because they have a few, I really think that people start working with little kids and think that little kids are going to be calmed down or able to calm down a lot quicker, which is unrealistic. Like, you must know nothing about development. And then if you take into the fact that they're 3 and they were COVID babies, your expectations are
Should be very
skewed.
different.
But they jump. It's like I'll be wanting the parents to just tell me who's diagnosing, because I dang near want to blackball them. Like, get them out of here. The fact that you can see a kid. I had another kid. He was observed for 40 minutes, 40 minutes total, him and his brother. Apparently, they diagnosed the baby autism or with autism.
What?
Right. And I was telling his grandma, like,
how old was the baby? One more time.
he was also 3. The preschool, my babies are babies. But I was telling his grandma, like, I don't agree. And I'm like, I don't even know what the doctor saw, because there are things that he does in school. Like, I get why you think he has some spectrumy behaviors, but I'm like, it's a spectrum, honey. We all on there somewhere.
Did you further test him or just observed him for 40 minutes?
No,
and said
they
autism?
just observed him for 40 minutes, told grandma that it's autism. And
Let's
but
get
then
off
I'm
this.
like, I don't know
Let's
who
get
they
off
were going
this.
to, because there's a lot of stuff I don't agree
But
with. Like,
part of the ASD test is they have like different components. They don't just observe.
I don't know if it was the actual. See, and that's what I was thinking, because I've looked into how they're supposed to do.
Yeah, it's like a whole protocol.
It is strenuous.
That's like a doctor I had when I was a teenager that looked at me and told me I was pre-diabetic.
Oh no!
What type of asinine shit is that? You're
So there are a
looking
lot
at
of.
me.
Yeah, I'm like, there are a lot of doctors I feel like that have been in the field long, and they rely on that to get by seeing a few things, and they feel like that when they see it, they just know it. And I'm like, he is really just underexposed, and he was very neglected, and he does really well. Like, even the global, I'm like, I can get you with like a developmental diagnosis because his development is lacking, but it's something that you're going to take away as he's getting more exposed to stuff. I don't know. But either way, reason for us to be knocking on some doors to get in these rooms, and they should limit certain people's ability to diagnose, or you really need to make people jump through hoops to diagnose, because I'm very scarce with diagnosing. I drag my feet until I need to be able to argue it down to let you know that.
I always go with the least restrictive. I always go with the least restrictive.
Yeah,
and if I have to
people
change
go
it,
heavy hitting.
I can change it. But and that's why, like, even with ODD, we try to go with like other specified disruptive or something like that instead of just automatically jumping to ODD, because that does not look good for kids. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It looks
and
like
we don't even diagnose ODD. I've had a lot of kids.
First of all, I think ODD needs to get removed.
Agreed.
I would like to see a replacement of emotional dysregulation disorder.
So yeah, that's what we use. Disruptive mood dysregulation disorder, because we say that a lot of kids that have ODD, they do typically have emotional regulation issues, and then there's relational barriers. I know most of my kids,
say a lot of it is parenting related,
or not even. I was thinking more so in the school. A lot of our kids are lacking connections with their teachers or people in the building. So then it's like, well, they're not listening to me. And I do understand that when you're here, you should listen. But then I always tell my parents, like, as an adult, if I start just telling you what to do, are you going to do it? No. If I'm out and somebody just telling me what to do, I don't have to do it. Now, I do know there are certain situations that I'm an adult. My brain is fully developed. I understand that my boss can tell me X, Y, and Z, and I'm supposed to do X, Y, and Z. As a kid, I don't give a fuck about your X, Y, and Z. I don't really care about you. I don't respect you. Like, there's nothing there. And every kid that I've ever had that was diagnosed with ODD, the relationship I was able to build with them, I'm able to get them to do everything their teacher don't want them to, or their teacher wants them to do.
That's my point of why I want it removed completely.
Yeah, I
Literally,
agree.
the criteria says no respect of authority. That might not be you as the person, but they might be respecting someone else.
Yeah.
And
Well, but then I also feel like
yeah.
that's not a
No,
mental disorder because I
half of
don't
them are
respect
strong willed,
authority.
to be honest. And I was a strong willed,
Yeah,
so I
I'm
get
just
it.
stubborn, and I
Yeah,
don't give a f about
So
you.
no, I don't agree. I don't agree at
Now I
all.
got a mental disorder because I
I
said I
don't
ain't
think so.
doing that shit you talking about.
right. And also,
So
again, a lot of it's rooted in trauma too, because
Yeah,
depending on how they're parenting or
agreed.
how someone approached them, some people don't respond well to feeling disrespected or
Right. I
invalidated.
can see it as a Z code.
Agreed. Completely agreed.
so sure, in you guys' cases, that makes sense. That makes total sense. But then there's also the children who absolutely are ODD. However, comma, how I've always learned about like the different, because then there's ODD, then there's conduct, and then there's
Anti.
normally like whatever.
And I
So
don't like neither one of
because
those two. Take a
so
nap.
for me, the way I've always paid attention to it is because it's always been noticed. So I don't know if you remember um Ayana, the bipolar client I had.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all rooted in trauma for sure. All of it has stemmed from something. However, they're too young to be diagnosed with bipolar, schizophrenia, whatever. And a lot of kids or a lot of people that grow up with schizophrenia have previously been diagnosed with ODD or whatever or whatever. It's kind of
Mhm.
like a gradual thing. So to me, to get rid of it completely doesn't make sense.
Well, the
But
thing
you
is
can write
that
in
you
different
could do right.
specifiers.
You could also do PTSD unspecified. You could do there's other
But
bit
it's not always PTSD though, and PTSD is not the same thing. You know what
but
I'm
Well,
saying?
no,
Like
see,
it's
so it
oh,
not.
said
I
not
think it's
PTSD, other
other
unspecified
specified stress related
trauma.
disorder.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's not
because
PTSD, it's the ones
the
at the bottom where it's like
connotation
unspecified,
when we talk
specified.
about especially black and brown children, the connotation with ODD, I've seen it working in schools, I've seen it with incarcerated youth, I've seen it in private practice. As soon as that is seen, people automatically start treating those children different.
They do.
It's
They
very,
do.
I'm not
yeah,
disagreeing with
and
that
that's why
particular
I
piece,
personally don't use it because I think it's more
but
harmful than it is helpful. Because again, the root we can function on the behaviors, but what's the root of where it's coming from?
Right. Agreed.
again, y'all, I love that y'all think from that perspective. However, comma, getting rid of it completely is just not
Well, I
wise.
think it should be
I'm sorry.
replaced with emotional dysregulation disorder.
But
But
I
they
then
already
there's
have that.
also, but there's a difference. There's a difference. There's already disruptive mood dysregulation. There's already
Wait,
one for
emotion
that.
dysregulation. Like I have written down because I'm crazy like that. I hold my own DSM of what I would like to see.
Oh, I love that. But
Yeah,
That's
disruptive
adorable.
mood dysregulation is supposed to be more about people who cannot regulate their emotions. It's supposed to be a
right.
But
emotional
it's
Yeah.
also
dysregulation.
sporadic. It's not something
Well,
that's
that's what I'm
that.
saying. The
But
DSM
again,
needs
but
to
some
change.
kids that are ODD are calculated, and some of the kids that also have those relationships with those people have moments where they are actively defiant to the
Yeah.
relationships
But
they
aren't we
have.
all
But
actually
again,
defiant to a degree as humans? The
In a way,
thing
But
so I'm not
again,
saying that.
we're not talking about off chances though, twin. We're talking about like literally that they affect everything around them. They actively do it because they want to. And again, the root of it is where I do agree we need to get to the root of it. However, if that child has actively decided to continue to do those symptoms or use those symptoms, there's no way that you can do anything else. Now, for a child who just happens to have an attitude with this particular teacher, I'm not going to put ODD. I'm going to put other.
right.
I'm not going to do
I
that.
I just
Or because if they have, okay, because I've had plenty of kids that have had at school, cut the fool. They will cut the fool at school all day. They was like, oh, they're just defiant. No, You keep talking to this child crazy, and this kid has told you multiple times, don't talk to me that way.
Right, but
They've
that's what I'm
said it.
saying, the trauma related, if they might be responding that way, yes, intentionally, but again, if something is subconsciously stuck of why they have
Yeah.
created that defense. That's what
But
I'm
again,
saying.
Or
y'all,
the
I
last
but
feel
thing,
see,
like
but
we're
here's where we were disagreeing. Like, this is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, even with the people y'all are saying they have these connections with, they still actively defy
right,
them
but there's a
because
well,
they
right.
reason
can't.
I'm not saying that
why.
because I have a good
Again,
relationship with you, you're automatically compliant. I'm not saying that because I definitely have kids who will still buck up. Now they may not put their hands on me, but they might be like, Miss Howard, I don't give a F about none of that. Da, da. I
but they
get
still
that.
do it. Do they still do it?
They probably will. I don't put it past none of them because I don't take my relationship and feel like it's the end all be all stamp to where you ain't never go because you still struggle. I just don't agree
Right.
with that ODD because then I also feel like, yes, there are people that do it because they can't and because they want to, but I also feel like that's a lagging skill. There's something
Exactly.
wrong. There's
So
a barrier there
there's a
somewhere.
barrier. And I think again, I operate from a strength-based perspective. I think we just have to be
Same.
careful of how again throwing that diagnosis particular has been utilized to harm black and brown children. I've seen it in the incarcerated population. That is the first diagnosis that's thrown. And a lot of them, when you break down their history, that's not the fitting diagnosis.
Right.
I mean,
I mean,
correct, but
even for
getting rid of
other
it don't make
kids
sense
too.
either. That's all I'm saying. It don't make sense to
Which
get rid
one?
of it. It don't
I
make
mean,
sense
I
to
just
get rid
don't
of it.
like it because I feel like it gives people don't dig when they see those diagnoses. So I'm
Agreed.
not for it. And I know we operate also out of we use the neurosequential model to like get into your development, but we also use collaborative problem solving because we're trying to work with give the kid the lead, which is a way to teach teachers how to do it too and parents to give
Mhm.
your kid the lead and not be in power struggles and figure out what the barrier is or what skill we're lagging on that
Yeah.
might get them to be cooperative. Because I think
Right.
people
Agreed.
get so caught up in it being compliant and stuff. And I get that relationships aren't the end all be all, but it is a step. And then if you're still overly defined, there's something there that's
That's
you still might
blocking
have a
you.
lack of trust. Yeah, there's some type of issue that we got to figure out.
What the
And then I
root is.
think you'll be
Always
great.
teach, the iceberg method. What we see
Mhm.
on the outside, we need to figure out what is underneath.
Right.
Because
I
that's where
mean,
healing
yeah, yeah,
lies.
yeah, yeah. Like again, I don't disagree. I just think that, and also where we differ, there's a line and there's a wall that's always gonna be hit. And I mean, I'm not a strength based person. I'm more of a realist. That's where I live, and I understand that at certain aspects that sometimes we can offer, suggest, teach, model, and that's still not enough.
Of course, it's
Now,
not
Right.
their job to fix.
where it comes from, where it stems from, where it roots from, only because I've noticed that whether it's a child who has a two-parent household where there's not a whole bunch of trauma, there's not the parents are very active and very present and yada yada yada, they still have there's still that child that's just like, hey, I'm gonna do this. I don't care. I
Yeah.
don't care what you're saying to me. I'm gonna do this. And I there is no clear where that came from. It's an off chance, it's rare that you have those kids where it's like, nah, I'm okay. I'm gonna do this because this looks fun. Like there's actually a child. He was like, it's just fun. No, they've never been abused. They've never experienced loss of hunger. They've never had bullying. It wasn't like typical things that
Yeah.
happen. Two parents, very active. Both are very like, hey, I want to help my child. And this child was actively like,
But there's still
what y'all
something
talking
there,
about?
though.
Yeah, I
But
was gonna
again,
say
but
that doesn't.
again, but again, but again, what is it? Because it
But that
wasn't, it
It
didn't
could be a
appear.
lot of
It
it
things.
never
takes
appeared.
time. But you're looking surface. You have to
I'm
look
not
deep.
looking surface. I didn't look surface.
No, but what I'm
I didn't
saying
look surface.
is things are sometimes take a while to see what it is. And I've seen it. I've had
Right.
my longest client was 4 years. It took us 4 freaking years to really start
Okay.
unlayering what was really going on.
Yeah.
And
I
once
was
we
gonna say, or
unlayered,
even
it was
some
like,
people wait
oh,
years
okay.
to tell you something. Yeah.
Right. I mean, transparent. I grew up in a two-parent home and I had issues and it rooted from
But
emotional neglect.
also,
Some stuff is not just because, again, surface things are okay, doesn't mean there's other needs that are not getting met. For every behavior,
Yeah.
there's a need underneath. And
Yeah.
strength based doesn't mean you're not being a realist. It's just, again, utilizing in every struggle that our clients have, there is something in there that is
That we
propelling the
can flip to a
behavior.
positive
And
and
we
use
have
it to our
to,
advantage. Yeah.
right, we have to use that to our advantage to meet them there, not stigmatize them. That's just the
Right.
perspective that I operate from.
Yeah, because
yeah,
that sounds. I have a friend who
uh,
called me with a similar situation with a kid who's she's been with her foster parents who are they've adopted her since she was 2 days old, and now she's 17, and they are just like at their wits end because they want to help her. She hasn't. I mean, she's had issues, of course, like with her, not even really issues because they've had her since she was 2 days old, but like this open adoption, birth mom's not in the picture,
Mhm.
but this girl is overly defiant. And there are so many, she gave me a rundown of everything today, and she was like, so many people have been involved and she's unmotivated and they've tried all these things and we just don't, we just don't know. And she called me just to pick my brain. And I'm like, everything that it sounds like to me is a relational issue. I
Mm,
mean, it seems like she has a healthy household because you're like, yeah, her parents are trying, they're very, and she just doesn't. Like, they take her on trips, and instead of being on the trip, she'd rather be in the room. Everything you're telling me sounds like there's a relational issue there. I don't know
mhm.
what it is, but there's something she's not willing to say, or something she's keeping
Right.
it to her
Or
chest.
even cognitively, she might not be able. Again, that's why I did the brain spotting, is because I kept
Yeah,
realizing a lot of stuff, and I'm going more and more down the somatic rabbit hole. A lot of stuff
right.
is in us physically, somatically.
Yeah.
And once you start
Hmm.
tapping in, then people start being able to then cognitively release. There
Right.
may be something. I completely agree with you. I think a lot of issues, to be honest, come from some type of relational
Hmm.
trauma.
Even when you think you're doing everything, because she was really like, the parents are amazing. I said they can be as amazing as they want to be, but that doesn't mean that girl feels connected to them.
Or
That doesn't
emotionally
mean that,
safe.
right, or that you're, because I'm like, something is off. Because she said the parents were really like, we do what we can. She is safe here. And she was like, I don't doubt that. I'm like, but just because she's safe here doesn't mean that she feels safe to do this. So my advice to her was, I'm like, you got to stick it out, because she's
Mhm.
gonna do things to make you feel like you wasting your time. You should leave, because everybody else, excuse me, has felt like
Yeah, they give it. Yeah. I
you're
had a
doing more work
client
than you.
who
You're
was
not trying.
quiet for 6 months. We did 6 months of 53-minute
Mm.
sessions in silence. And on the 6th month, at the end of the month, they opened up their mouth and they said, yep, I've been waiting. And we did great work together.
I can, but being willing to stick it out. And I feel like some people are very stubborn, so they like, I do want to talk. It's been a week, but I'm gonna wait. And then it's been a month. I gotta wait. I gotta hold out. Because when is she gonna get fed up? But every
Right.
day this lady is showing up, looking at me, look at her.
But
Yeah, all right,
again, it
you
goes
got
back
it.
to the relational. If you
Yeah.
again, a lot of people don't have that capacity, so they create these defense mechanisms with exhibit as
Hmm.
behavior. When we start getting underneath of that, you start to see
Yeah.
who that person
I mean,
really
but
is.
how many
What
people are willing to sit with you for an hour for 6 months in complete silence?
Right.
Your parents are hardly able to really. All right, let me know when you're ready. God damn it,
Right.
you're doing a lot, and it's like I ain't never telling you shit because.
Right.
And then you years later, you like they're acting this way, and it's like, yeah, because 10 years ago you told me that when I was ready, I'm gonna talk to you, and you didn't, and guess what? And I still ain't fucking ready, and I ain't
Yep.
never talked. I'm like, it'd be like literally one little remark, like even
Mhm.
me at this big ass age, even when I'm talking to my mom, like I've been on her all my life, but we'll talk, and she'll say something, and I just be looking at her like, I don't want to talk to you no more, and she just looks at me, and I'm like, that moment you said that, and I'm like, I know you don't mean no malice intent, I know why you said it. This is how we talk. But in this moment, because I'm trying to tell you something and you said that specific thing, I want to walk out this room and not say nothing to you. But because I rather tell you this so that we can be like, all right,
On the
let's
same
work.
page.
Yeah, so that you know, okay, now I'm gonna keep, and then I'm like, and I was telling her like, I really want to shut up, so I'm fighting through it so I can eventually finish my story because I don't want to tell you no more. And but that takes skill to be able to recognize that's what you did that just bothered me. That specific statement. This is
Mm-hmm.
why it bothered me. Don't do it again. Otherwise, some people really would just take that moment, laugh it off, and walk away, and then never.
Speak again. Yeah.
And then you're always wondering like what the hell, and you would then have to recognize that you don't recognize that moment. You said nothing wrong, it just was a little remark.
Mm-hmm.
That takes so much
Yeah.
skill. That's why I think there's a lot of skill deficits. Whoever's watching this, look up collaborative problem solving by
If y'all
Stuart
made it this far,
Alkaline.
I realize we went off on a tangent on some stuff y'all probably
Right,
don't know about, but I feel
this is
like
just psychoeducation. Watch it with your supervisor and get some get your supervision hour.
As you
uh
deserve.
I feel like, there's I mean there's a lot, and we always have these conversations, and I promise y'all we never agree on a lot of things, and it's fine.
I mean,
um
that's what this field is. A lot of semi like-minded individuals with opposing opinions who do great work. Why? Because we have clients of all different forms and facets.
Mm-hmm.
We got to be
because
diverse ourselves.
I do realize that my final take on this, because I'm gonna be honest, y'all, I'm ready to go to sleep.
Yeah, I can't
um
nap. This therapist is ready to.
Yeah, it's
um
11 bedtime.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say this, my final takeaway for all of this is, I think because I'm able to see like I guess the relational pieces, I'm able to see it for what it is. Like, you could tell if the relationship is there, if and kind of gauge where the relationship is, because a parent can say, well, I'm always talking to my kid and I'm always doing this, but your kid don't respect you. I think somewhere in your mind there was a disconnect. What you consider to be a relationship or connection, that kid ain't fucking with you. And I don't know if you know this, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
Mm,
That ain't what that is. Sorry, not sorry. Or the other way around, I had a kid tell me that they were always comfortable with talking to their mom and they love talking to their mom, but the mom is calling me, telling me they sick of the kid, they don't want nothing to do with the kid, they gotta go somewhere else. And I'm like, well, what the fuck I'm supposed to do with this information? Like, you calling me, telling me you don't like your child, but your child feels safe enough to come talk to you, make it make sense. And then I found out she was two-faced and would go like tell her child one thing and like be this parent with her, but then with the mother, the grandmother, she go and say something else and be something else. It's a whole lot of it's just like, I get it, but, and it's another tangent, I just don't fully believe that everything is always centered around a need not being met. Not all the time, not always, and not every instance. I don't agree. But um because there are, I don't know, there's just different thoughts and reasons why I have that thought. But yeah, we're not gonna go into that.
I was gonna say because I think most of it is about there's a need not being met.
Everything's based on needs. We do everything for a need, whether
Whether you
purposeful,
identify it as
subconscious,
a need,
conscious, biology. We breathe because we have a need to have oxygen in our lungs.
yeah.
Everything is.
It's all the need. Even when I think about
Semantic.
manipulation, like I always say that manipulation is not always negative. When people are manipulators, they're just trying to get their needs met. And now they may not be doing it appropriately, but there's something that they need. Just like somebody who's a control freak.
There's a
They are
need.
seeking safety. Like
Right.
you don't even think about that. Like people that are control freaks.
Every self-harm. Why do they do it? There's a need of
Yeah, some
relief.
sort of release or wanted to. I just saw a post today about somebody that was listening to heavy metal. Now, granted, I'm sure this isn't for everybody who listens to heavy metal, but somebody was like, "Well, why do you do that?" And they were just like, "Well, when I'm sad, I listen to it because now everybody knows that I'm sad." And now, and I don't.
Right. Guess what? I need.
Because I want you to know without me having to tell you, so I'm going to do something. Or like I think I had clients, some teenage boys, and they used to listen to Rod Wave, and I heard he makes sad music. I never knew.
Oh my god!
And
I went to this concert. I was out of place. Those kids were crying their hearts out. You would have thought he was the Adele of their generation. Let me tell you.
I think you know what, but low key he might be, because when you listen to the lyrics, they like, and when I watch them or just rap it when they're not listening, and they like, man, he really was saying something, and it's such a mature, like y'all are very immature for this to be mature. Okay, I'm listening. I started looking up the songs, like which song you say was your favorite. Let me look at these lyrics.
During his concert, he didn't even rap. He would turn his mic off, and the crowd was rapping his music bar for bar. Something about his music resonates with the sad. Like, yeah. It doesn't resonate with me, but it was a great experience.
But it's validating to somebody, and we need to be validated at times.
Because that's a need.
Right. I'm like, let me get a shirt that say #need. Hashtag needed it.
Again, semantics, but whew. All right, ladies, this has been a great conversation. Way too fucking long. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's been way too long. That was not the plan, but it was necessary. So yeah, make sure you like,
You seem tired.
I am. I'm really tired.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Make sure y'all like, comment, share. If you made it to the end of this video, congratulations.
We love you.
For sure, because this is gonna be great.
We are proud of you. Woo woo.
Yeah, it's really fucking me up that I'm seeing myself going in the opposite direction.
Me too. My bud, I've been doing this the whole time because I feel like it's lopsided.
Oh.
Because I'm going this way. I'm thinking I'm going this way. Okay, yep, nope, it's time for bed. And I'm hot. This light in my foyer, I have a foyer to my room, is really hot. So, yeah, guys, this has been another... this would have been so great to have JJ a part of this conversation, but it's fine. He'll be at the next one.
Go until we meet again. What you got to say? Add your comments below, sir.
But yeah, guys, make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, tell a friend, stay black, stay beautiful, stay humble. Bye.
See you.